Good morning and welcome to Coffee Talk session. I am Dr. Muhammad Rosli Ismail, Director of the Center for Research and Innovation, the moderator of today's Coffee Talk session. It is my absolute pleasure to have you join our session today. This blessed morning, we have a special speaker who is involved in the preschool industry for many years, and now she is a senior lecturer of early childhood education at the Faculty of Education, Open University Malaysia. And she is senior, yet she still looks gorgeous and energetic. Let's welcome yang berusaha Dr. Mahani binti Abdul Malik. How are you, Dr. Mahani?
I'm fine, thank you, Dr. Rosli, and thank you for the praise.
Okay. I'm happy you to be here with us today, and welcome to the Coffee Talk session. All right, we have an exciting lineup of interesting information in store for you. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be informed. Without further ado, let's dive right into the topic on how do we nurture science in young children. Science is a systematic and organized approach to understanding the natural world through observation, experimentation, and analysis. The topic today really captures my attention when it like nurture. All right, Dr. Mahani, for my first question, perhaps you can why did you use the word nurture in the title of your talk today?
Oh, okay. Thank you, Dr. Rosli. I hope you don't mind this morning if we can make our talk a little bit more interactive.
Yes, sure.
Yeah? So sometimes I might ask you to be the child in the school, okay? So,
yeah, we are in the same, basically, industry, yeah?
Yeah. Okay, why I chose nurture, before I even explain why, I think it's best to, if you can, we can differentiate between what is nurture and what is care.
Yes.
Okay, so nurture, care, when we say care is you just giving the children what they need, all right? They say, for example, they need to eat, they need to sleep, then you provide them with those, what is it that they need.
Care, yeah.
But when you say nurture, it's normally connected with emotion, with bondings, with feelings, yeah. So that's why when we say you cannot separate emotion with learning.
Yeah. Right.
You cannot separate fun with learning, and you cannot separate teaching with building relationship with teachers, right? So, and if you were to look at our brain, the amygdala in our brain is near to the prefrontal cortex, is where you receive information. Even when you receive signal from let's say you listen something, and then it goes to the amygdala will decide whether it is fun, whether it's something that is sad, okay, and then after
decide it.
And then it goes to the processing center, and then from the processing center, if it's something relevant, it goes to the long memory. If it's something not relevant, something not important, it goes to the short memory, right? So that's why I picked the word nurture. How do we nurture fun in learning science?
So a very interesting topic of today. So perhaps maybe you can elaborate more how you're going to nurture, kind of things in science.
Okay. As we know, children are naturally curious.
Yes.
Right?
They would like to know everything.
Yeah, they like to know everything. I have 9 small ones who's living near me. I have 9 grandchildren who keep bombarding me with questions.
All sorts of questions.
And research has shown that children actually are very curious about the natural phenomena. Okay, and research has also shown that in every 2 minutes, children ask 3 questions.
Even though the same question maybe
they ask you over and over again, okay? And research has shown that actually children are very interested in science topics. When they ask children who are coming into the preschool, what do you think you will be learning when you go to preschool? 80% say, oh, we will be learning something about science. And 90% say, oh, we will be learning ABC or reading. Okay, but when they leave preschool, the researchers asked the children again, so did you learn science? And they said, oh, we learned very little science. So
But right, what they have learned is actually 80%
yeah,
from the
so
curriculum.
yeah, so what is happening? Why is it that children at the end of the year they are not saying that they learn a lot about science? This is because they are not exposed to high quality activities,
Yes,
high
yes.
quality science activities. So because of that, as they grow older, curiosity gets
Yeah.
lesser and lesser, and they do not understand the importance of learning science. And not only that, they find science is boring because the
Yeah.
teachers are very structured when they're
Yeah.
teaching science.
So I can say that that is a actually the perceptions of the children about science, right?
Yes.
So how they they think and so on.
Yes. So and not only that, as you teach more and more complex science concept, the children tend to think that they're not good at it.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So they may have misconception of the science itself.
Yes.
So what do you think the right way to teach science?
Okay. When we want to teach science, there are three important things that teachers must know. And I've been going around Malaysia and I've been talking to and teaching teachers about science. I realized that one, there's no progression of knowledge. Kalau dia, if they teach 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, there must be a progression of knowledge. Even though we use thematic, we might teach sing for 4, 5, and 6.
And what do you mean by progression when you tell us that about the knowledge progression?
Okay, let's say for example, can I give you an example?
Yes.
Right. When you want to teach a 4 years old about sing and float, all right. First and foremost, you must be sure about what is your objective. Most teachers, when I go around, ask them, okay, how do you teach sing and float? The objective doesn't seem to sync with the activity. All right. So if let's say 4 years old, what I want to teach will be I want them to know the meaning. I want them to understand what is sing and what is float. That's all.
That's all for the 4 years old.
4 years old. So I will tell the children, okay, children, go out and take anything you want.
And put everything
Stone,
aside.
dead leaf, green leaf,
In the
anything,
water.
and just throw in the water. Anything that goes down,
That is
sing.
sing, yeah.
And things on top, float. Okay, dia dah faham.
Yeah,
they understand. All right. And then when 5 years old,
then we move to the second one.
yes, I want them to. My objective would be the children will understand that sing and float is due to the material.
I see.
And not due to weight of anything or
That means
the
the material
size
that
of
made
anything.
of that kind of object.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I will bring the materials. I will bring a wooden chopstick. I will bring a metal chopstick. I will bring a apa lagi chopstick? Porcelain chopstick.
Yes. The same object but different kind of
materials.
texture, materials,
Yes.
content.
And then maybe I will bring plate or something. Tapi same object, different materials. So when they throw, they find that everything that's made of wood is not sinking.
No, it's
floating.
Yeah.
Anything that's made of metal, it's sinking.
Sinks. Yeah.
So I will tell them, oh, can we say that all metals sink and all wood float?
Yeah.
And then they will have this understanding. So I achieve that my objective.
It means that it's not the object itself, but it's the material contains in that object.
Yes. So there is a progress. You see the progression of knowledge.
From 4 years old, 5 years old.
Yes.
Yeah. So we move on to the next one.
Yeah, to the 6 year old. To the 6 years old, I want to teach them something different. I want to teach them that if you have, even though the size is big, but if you have air in it, it will
float.
It will float. Yeah. So this is correcting their misconception. Children's misconception is that anything that is heavy or big, it will sink.
Yeah.
All right. So I will take a plasticine and I make it into a big ball and I throw it into the water and you can see the plasticine drop to the bottom.
Yeah.
I put my hand in and take out the same plasticine. Now I'm going to make it into shape of a boat.
Yeah.
Why boat? Anything shape of a boat contains air, it will
float.
It will float. And then I show the plasticine floats.
That's why the ships are floating.
Yeah. So I'm correcting the children's misconception.
I see.
Everything needs to be proven.
That's very, very interesting because I would say that many of us just remember, the things which are float are not sink and so on. Yeah, they don't know what the material actually plays important roles. in
Yes.
deciding which
Yes.
items floating or not floating.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we also want, if let's say you want to introduce the children to Bion Force, we talk about buoyancy kan. Tapi macam nak prove ada Bion Force. So we take a ball, put it into the water, and ask the children to press it down. Okay, I can show you here.
Yeah, that's better to show
okay?
us. Yeah.
You press it, when you press the ball down, the stronger you press the ball down, the stronger you feel the pressure from on top. So this proof that there is Bion Force.
All right.
So whatever you do, you can prove to the children. Yeah. And another thing is when we teach science, after we have corrected their misconception, we must relate it to their everyday life. So let's say, for example, they learn that all metals sink.
Yeah.
So you can say, oh, all metals sink, but why is it the ship is made
still
of
floating
metal and it's still floating and it's so big, it's so heavy?
Yeah.
All right, so we can talk to them about the ballast tank. Okay, if you look at the picture, you find that around the cargo hull there is water. So when the ship reach the port and the cargo is being taken out, so now the ship becomes light.
Yes, yes.
So they fill the ballast tank with water because you don't need air.
I see.
All right.
All right.
So when it's filled with cargo and the ship has to move, it throws away water. If you look at the other picture, it throws away water because they want the ballast tank to be empty, to have a lot of air inside so that the ship
can float.
Can float. Yeah.
I see. Wow, that is very, very interesting.
Yeah.
And,
So
you know.
Yeah. The thing is, when I was teaching this to a group of Indonesian international teachers,
yes,
and they were telling me that, but doctor, can preschool children understand this? Then I was telling them, why are you limiting the children's ability to understand?
Critical thinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why are you limiting it? Does Regio limit it? Look at Regio Emilia. Look at the activities that they do in their school. They are not limiting it. Children can learn if we scaffold them.
Unlimited.
Yes, correct.
Untapped kind of knowledge. Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's very interesting. And you were talking about the misconception. Yeah. So how does it happen, and why do we need to correct?
Okay. When children comes to us, they already have gone through a lot of experience, and they come from different environment, right? Some children, they learn by exploration, and when they play, they make certain conclusion from what they explore. So that forms certain misconception. Ada yang betul, sometimes it's correct, sometimes it's not correct. Okay, and sometimes they ask parents, and parents give wrong answers. For example, the child might ask the parent, where does baby come from? I've heard babies' parents saying, oh, baby come from the supermarket, you can buy from it. I've heard that before. All right, so you are giving
the false information,
false information
to the children.
So if we don't correct this misconception,
they will believe. So
when you feed them with new information, they will not remember it for long because the old one is still there.
It's more powerful as the
so you must correct
the correct one.
Correct the misconception.
So perhaps also the role of teachers, parents at home, very, very important to correct the misconception of their children. Especially teachers need to be well trained. Do you think so? What do you think about the teachers nowadays?
The trouble with teachers in our preschool is, and even in our primary school, the teachers are sometimes not teaching what they are, what shall I say, their content knowledge is not enough.
Not enough.
If you look at our preschool teachers teach all subjects.
Yes, yes.
If you teach science, maths, and language, you must have very good content knowledge. If you don't have very good content knowledge, you don't have content pedagogical knowledge, means how do I teach science? How do I teach maths?
How to deliver to the children?
Yes, how can you be effective teaching the children science? No way.
I think perhaps maybe they think for the preschool, it's just a matter pass through about science, but it's not in detail, perhaps, you know. But that will create more misconception among children.
Yes, not only that, you are killing their curiosity.
Yeah.
And you are not teaching them the right thing. So let's say, for example, something simple like soluble and insoluble things.
Yeah.
All right. Most teachers dia tak faham what. Okay, I want to ask Dr. Rosalie.
I mean the definition first.
Yeah. No, Dr. Rosalie, what do you understand about when you talk about soluble, insoluble? What is in your mind?
It is something, a tablet, for example. You put inside the water, then it's soluble.
Oh, okay. But the real concept, the basic concept, what is it?
I'm not that sure.
Okay, the basic concept is mixing two things.
Okay, all right.
Mixing two things. So it means I can mix solid and solid. I can mix solid and liquid. I can mix liquid and liquid.
Yeah.
Betul?
Yes.
All right. Now, but how do you have progression of knowledge kat sini? Let's say at the beginning yang 5 tahun, the 5 years old, I can do things like, okay, let's mix sand and iron.
Oh, okay.
But I can still separate it because it's mixed. Even though it's mixed, there's no reaction because there's no heat.
Yeah.
So I can take my magnet, I can remove the metal, I still have sand. What if I have
segregate between sand and magnet?
When you mix, you can still separate. If I mix sand and sugar, how do I separate it? I put water, the sugar dissolve. I filter, I get my sand.
Yes.
All right. But what if I make cake? I'm still mixing. Can I separate it after that? Cannot, because when I put it in the oven, there's heat. So everything is like meshed together, and you cannot separate it. Okay. Right. So things and children have this misconception about soluble and insoluble. When I put sugar, cikgu pun selalu always say, when I put sugar, children, what do you see? Oh, the sugar disappear.
Yeah, but you don't understand the concept of
Yes, children understand that when you put sugar into water, it disappears. It didn't disappear. If I were to teach soluble, insoluble, I will ask the children, what happened to the sugar? Can you see it? No. Where do you think the sugar went to? Is it still in the water? How do we know whether it's in the water or not? What do we do?
Can you taste that?
Yes. Taste it.
Yes.
Is it sweet? Is water sweet? No, water is not sweet. That means sugar is still in the water. So I make the children think. Oh, how can I prove this? How can I want them to question. I want them to ask things and not just
make them crazy.
Accept things as it is.
That's very, very, I think, involve the high order thinking later on skills kind of that. Yeah. I think we need to correct the misconception among children, and do the same thing also. The teachers should play important role in to correct that kind of misconception. Teacher must be very skillful, content pedagogical, and so on, so that they be able to make sure so far whatever they have taught, perhaps they contribute to the misconception, and then they need to correct it, in a better way of teaching. So we need people like you to explore them with all the curiosity, with all the questions, so that the children be able to learn more effectively. All right. So we talk about the high order thinking skills in KSPK, which we need to follow the KSPK kind of syllabus. Do you think that we are doing it and currently at the preschool level, especially when teaching science?
Okay. I don't really see it. Some who are really good might do it, but I've gone through quite a number of preschools and I don't see it being done, especially when you're teaching science. I'll give you an example. When we teach children about, let's say, living things and non-living things.
Yes.
All right. When we teach children about living things and non-living things, we tell them, oh, living things, they can move. Living things, they can reproduce. Living things can grow. Living things, so we give them all the characteristics of living things, and then we can which one is living things and which one is non-living things. The trouble is we do not give them something that needs extra thinking. Okay, let's say for example, okay, which of these are living things? Are eggs living things?
No.
What do you think?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? A fertilized egg is a living thing.
Yeah, all right.
But egg you buy from the supermarket is not a living thing because it's not being fertilized. What about date leaves?
Date leaves, no.
Date leaves is not a living thing. What about a green leaf that we just pluck from the tree?
That will not, unless you plant it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one that you just pluck from the tree has living cells. That one is still living.
All right.
Once the living cells is destroyed or it's not living anymore, then it is not a living thing anymore.
Yeah,
okay.
Right.
Orange, even tomato. Tomato you pluck from anything fruits you pluck from the tree is no more a living thing. But when you make it a juice, it's also not a living thing.
Yes.
All right. So you need to get the children to think more and not just stick to the normal thing. Get them to think, well, why is it not living thing? Why?
So from the living thing become non-living thing, for example, how it progress kind of thing.
Yes.
Right?
So you need to differentiate. Like for example, car. You said living things can move. Why is a moving car not living thing?
Yes.
It moves, right?
Yes. They use engine, all these things to move.
So we want the children to think. This is what we say a higher order thinking.
Yes, yes.
Even like say we are doing weather, I can do things like this. All right. After I teach weather and I will they normally talk about clothes to wear.
Yeah.
What if I hold an umbrella and I use sunglasses like this? What do you think the weather is like?
It's hot.
Why hot?
Because I need to cover. The weather is hot or rain, for example, maybe.
Rain, why am I wearing sunglasses?
Oh, perhaps you want to have a cool kind of vision.
Yeah, that's why you get to ask
more questions.
More questions. So if I'm wearing sunglasses because it's hot, my eyes is painful. I don't want to see the sun. So you can ask a lot of things. Yeah, or this one. Who can make the man zip his jacket, the sun or the wind?
The wind.
The wind.
Yeah.
Why the wind?
Because you feel cold and then you need to warm your body.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I zip up my jacket.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
What about the sun? Can the sun make me zip up my jacket? It's hot.
No,
I might burn myself.
That also can be. Yes.
So you will find many different answers, many funny answers from the children. But the thing
reasons,
is, yes, I'm making them think. I'm making them think. I keep on asking.
Keep on thinking.
Keep on asking why.
Yeah. There is relate to curiosity of children. Yeah. That's very interesting because science actually leads to high order thinking. Do you agree with that?
Yes, definitely. It is high order thinking. In fact, even we can ask children to evaluate things. What do you think is right and what do you think is wrong? Okay. Even if I'm not teaching, when I was taking care of my own school, I wasn't teaching science, but my children were misbehaving. A child hit another child, and I asked my whole classroom to be the judge. What do you think we should do with this child? What the child did, was it right?
Yeah.
Was it wrong?
They became a jury.
Yeah. So they helped me decide what do you think I should do with this child, and they were discussing among themselves, giving their opinions, So these are the things that we could actually do to get the children to go to a higher order thinking.
I see. Yeah. Well, to prepare them for the next level of education in the future. And nowadays we are bombarded with all the digital technologies and so on. Yeah. So how can we think that technology helps a lot in teaching science among young children?
Okay. When we teach science, especially, we want to create interest in the children. We want the children to be curious. So we can use technology, especially during induction time, to get the children to be interested in that topic, and then from there to get more to do a lot of question and answers to get them to see whether they really understand what is it that they already know. So it's meant like for induction to create interest. Like say for example, if I want to think sing and float, maybe I want to use a video on what do you call
the what? Sorry.
The ship that Nabi Noah.
Oh, okay. The old
Noah's Ark. Okay, a video on Noah's Ark. And then after that, I will talk about, this Noah built this ark and put all the animals in, and then there was a big flood. Why was why did he build this ark? You know, and it is to create interest on float, and then after that I go into float and sing. So that's one way of doing it. Another way is also for teachers to gain knowledge. Yeah? When we teach science, you must have in-depth knowledge and in-depth about the concept that you want to teach the children. So therefore, you need to know a lot. Before you can even do your lesson plan, you really need to find out what are the children's misconception about that particular concept, and what is it about the concept that I need to know before I can come up with a creative lesson. Another one you can use for motivation. You want to motivate the students to learn, so you use gamification like Kahoot and class craft to motivate. Not as partly as reinforcement, but technology should not be used as a practice of reinforcement, but rather to motivate the children.
Children to use the gadget, you know, to learn science better. And I try to relate science and I would say that Islamic way of, you know, for example, because Islam and also science is not separated, basically. So how can we relate science to Islam, for example, you know, to the creator of, perhaps you can have some views on that.
Normally when we talk about the creator, we always try to talk about his greatness. Let's say, for example, we are talking about
perhaps maybe day and night, you know, the changing of day and night, perhaps how it happens. It also involves science, actually.
Even weather, you can get the children to look up, you know, and at night and say, oh, there's the moon, and look at the moon, how beautiful it is. You know, there's nothing holding it, but yet it's there, it's standing up there, you know, and then you relate it to God and how great God is in creating all these plants, living things. You know, it's living, yet when you pluck it, it becomes non-living. You know,
and also we can relate to environment. You know, to make sure they understand this. Everything relates to science. And for example, like day and night, maybe perhaps we can see that how come, you know, at night it's dark, you know, how it moves around the universe and so on. So I think it's very interesting also that we can nurture science through that can to the creator. Not only technology, but you know, they are very integrated to each other. How can integrate with nurturing science to other subjects, perhaps?
That's why we talk about integrative approach, where when we are teaching science, we are actually relating it to other subjects as well. Let's say, for example, let's say we want to teach the children about fruits. About fruits. So we could start off with singing, and then after singing, we could talk about the name of the fruits and the shape of the name of the fruits will be language. And then we talk about the shape of the fruits, and then you cut the fruit. It is how it looks like when it's full, but when I cut it, what do you see inside? So there's seed and
flesh inside there.
There's flesh inside, and then you taste it, and then you say, oh, it's sweet, sour, and so you can actually place science across the curriculum. And that's how it should be taught, actually.
In mathematics, mathematics counting, for example, measuring this thing. Well, but I think when we talk about science, people are afraid of science. They think it's a, I would say that isolated subject. But when we're talking, we can understand that science is actually overall. Whatever
overall,
that we live in this world is a science, actually.
Everything that you see, everything that you touch, everything that's around you is actually science.
Everything what we learn also is science as well, because it's integrated as well. All right. Then how do you, basically we would like to increase the motivation of science, motivation of learning science among young children.
So how do we do that? So I think what is important is whenever we teach science, we need to make it as interesting as possible, as exciting as possible.
Relate to environment, perhaps?
Yes, relate it to environment. Anything that is meaningful, anything that is relevant to the children, it goes into your long memory, your long-term memory. Anything that's not relevant, it goes to your short-term memory. So if you teach science in a very boring manner and you don't make it relevant to the children, and the children will not remember it. The children are very curious. They ask a lot of questions. And you can do things like this. This is, what do you think? You have a glass full of water, ice cold water with ice.
Yes.
Will the water overflow when the ice melts?
That's very interesting to know.
What do you think, Dr. Rosalie?
So when the ice melts, and what happened to the it does not basically flow the water, because that is inside the water already. When
the ice cube is solid, so it has already
changed from the solid to the
it has already its own space, because it has volume. Therefore it has already a space kept for the ice cube. So when the ice cube melts, it's just used up the space that is already there. So Archimedes' law. It's like when you jump into the swimming pool, why the water come up? Because the water is trying to cover the space that your volume, the volume of your body as you jump into the water. So you can
but the body is not melt,
but the water overflows because it must cover. So the amount of water overflows is the volume of your body. All right, so it's Archimedes' law. But you can do simple things like this to create interest.
Even you can do at home as well, not only in school.
Imagine when I was driving my son, my grandson to school one day. He not to school, to the babysitter. He was only at that time 5 years old.
All right.
And he calls me Andan. He asked me, well, he was drinking his milk in the car. Suddenly he asked me, Andan, why is the cloud not blue like the sky?
Oh, all right. That's a very good question.
Yes. So he will always ask me questions that scientific. He will ask me things like that day was raining, and he asked me, hey, why the light breaks? Now why is it like this? You know, he likes to ask questions like this, and he's very interested in science. He's very interested in history. So because I knew that, I keep on what should I say, trying to cultivate it, trying to motivate him, so he became more and more into the subject.
Which make him to think creatively, and out of the box, whatever we call it, to make sure that they have a critical thinking in the future. Because
and he's very observant. And we would when we teach time, we also must talk about science process skills. Okay, science process skills, getting children to predict, getting children to observe, getting children to communicate what they have learned. All that is also science process skills. Getting children to question. Okay, there's science process skills. So all that is also very important that we teach children. Sometimes I ask the teachers, do you know what's the difference between see and observing?
Okay.
And some teachers can answer, most teachers cannot answer. What's the difference between see and observing? See, I just see with my eyes. When you observe with all your organs, your sensory organs. You touch, you taste, you see. When I observe, I will talk about the texture. I will talk about like ice. Hey, it was hard, and then it became slippery. It became soft. It became watery. You know, so that's observation.
And also there's a knowledge actually, building up knowledge in individuals. And I think because of the science itself, it helps us to further our study to primary school, secondary school, tertiary education. So especially in the tertiary education, we go back to science where we have curiosity. We have a lot of so-called we observe, and then we make inferences. We make conclusion. All this related to tertiary education. What do you think about that?
Actually, science is. We need to build a very strong foundation, a very strong
fundamental
basic when we are in preschool.
Yeah.
Because will be carried on, and it will be what shall I say, whatever that we learn
Past
will be
experience.
extended.
Yes, extended.
Yeah, will be extended. That's why I say there must be knowledge, progression of knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, when there's no progression of knowledge, nanti you sampai ke primary school, secondary school.
Just stop.
Yeah,
There are no interest.
Yeah, so there must be progression of knowledge. That's why it's very important that in even like for example maths.
Yes.
When we teach maths, yeah, parents masuk in school, they very kiasu. They want to. Oh, I want my children to. Why already 2 months still not learning 1, 2, 3, still not learning this, still not learning that.
Because the fundamental is not there.
Yes, pre-numbers is very important. Pre-numbers 6 months, at least 6 months of pre-numbers. More than, less than, empty, full, colors, shapes, first, second, third, sequence, all that is more important.
It's taking a lot of time.
Yes, you know that very well, then only you can go to numbers.
Yes, meaning that we must have a solid fundamental, a basic of knowledge before we build up slowly later on in the future. Do you agree with that?
Yes, definitely. And in science, you need to understand about the characteristic of materials, characteristics of objects. Then only you can do classification. And actually, classification is one of the basic for intellectual development. Being able to see the differences and similarity.
Okay, I think while we are talking about this one, there are some, maybe I can go through some of the inquiry from the audience here. Okay, there's one question, I would say that. All right, yeah. Dear panel, a thought from our viewer on Facebook. Hazim Nizam, love science during my early childhood, but learning science at school nowadays seems so hard to comprehend, to understand it.
Okay.
Maybe you can have a comments on that, Doctor?
Yeah, it's difficult to understand is because the teachers are not teaching science correctly. Science and mathematics, it's when you teach, you need to be more systematic in the way you teach.
Yes.
It has to be something from something simple to something more difficult,
more complex.
Yes, and it has to be something that's three-dimensional, that you can see, understand, and visualize. You know, before you can visualize and before you can understand something that is more difficult. Yeah. The trouble is when you are not creative, when you do not have in-depth understanding of science,
and also teach science from your heart, you know.
When you don't have in-depth understanding of science, then you cannot be creative in your teaching.
Yes.
Let's say the child don't understand this, how can I make it simpler?
Yes, how to make things simpler for children.
Yes.
Do not follow exactly from the textbook, but as a teachers, we need to have some creativity to make things easier for them to understand.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That is correct.
Okay, so basically I would say that learning science is not just per se learning science itself, but the impact of learning science will create as individuals more creative, critical thinking.
Yes.
Yeah, that is what we want actually.
We want to create scientists.
Yes.
We want to create children who question on everything. Not like see the phone and then, this happened, and accept it without even questioning, is this correct?
Yes. Is it the
That's
information?
Yes.
It's spam or not spam, you know?
Correct.
Yeah, how can you make money? For example, I have been receiving many WhatsApp from, I don't know, from nowhere, saying that, you know, you can do part-time, doing this and thing with this, you know, getting 600 ringgit per day. That is very ridiculous. You have to ask question, you know, why and how, and, you know, it's not believable that you can make money 600 ringgit per day. You know, all this is actually relate to science when we have the questions, you know, to ask that.
How do we make our children think critically? How do you make our children think scientifically? That's what is nurturing. We are trying to nurture the love for science.
Yes. So at the end of the day, not only learning science, but also how we can, you know, make individual more creative, critical thinking. They have high order thinking skills. They be able to become innovative. You know, so all this actually from the source of science. Yes, I believe so. How about you? You think so?
Yes, definitely. And when you already have the interest and you have the basic knowledge, that's when you can be more innovative. You can do projects, things like, eggs can easily break. So how can we throw eggs or we transport eggs without breaking it? What can we do? What materials can we use? But for you to be able to do that, you must know the characteristic of materials. You must be, which you will learn when?
Yeah.
In preschool.
Preschool.
Yeah.
So preschool is basically a basic, fundamental, to
Yes.
Create your interest,
Yes.
your motivation, and then that will lead to when they go to the next level of education.
Yeah.
And of course, how can we basically continuously encourage our young children in curiosity, especially when they learn science?
Okay, that's why when we're teaching science, I always try to make it interesting. When it is interesting, I like, for example, just now I was talking about when you do something, we want to ask questions that people normally don't ask.
Yeah.
That it's you need to think a little bit. Like for example, who teachers know? Let's say soluble and non-soluble.
Yeah. Yeah.
Teachers never ask, is tea soluble in water? Is coffee soluble in coffee? But it doesn't dissolve, but it's the water changes in color. So what is happening there? If you can talk about it and say that, oh, actually the tea leaves is not soluble, but the tea leaves has pigments, color pigments. These color pigments is soluble. So these color pigments that is changing the color of the water. It's like paint. You take paint and you put in the water, it dissolves because of the color pigments.
So yeah, well, but I think most some teachers perhaps they just want pass by, that kind of process, then that will lead to not making children think, what they're supposed to think, and then
also I would say unintentionally, sebab most of the teachers do not have science knowledge. Because when I was teaching before, and I was working with Queensland University.
Yes, all right.
And I noticed that no matter whether you're a primary school teacher, you're a secondary school teacher, or you are a preschool teacher, your science you have to learn until university level. You must learn until molecular level. So because they have very in-depth knowledge, I can be very creative in my activities. Because I know. You tak faham ni, I can change. I can change this. I can do this. I can ask questions that make you think further. That make you curious. Why the tea? It's not the sun, but why is the color changing?
So it means that teaching young children, the teacher should have to possess a very good outstanding in terms of education. For example, like we have here diploma in early childhood education, and at the same time also we have baca. Maybe perhaps you can say something about baca, and then we have also mature, and now we are going to have Doce, Doctor of Philosophy in early childhood education. So perhaps maybe you can relate how the knowledge need to be, which level or this thing.
I have met a lot of science teachers who teach science in preschools, and I noticed a lot of these mistakes that they are making, and I realized that these teachers actually don't have enough knowledge in science, but they have many years of teaching experience, and some of these teachers feel that, oh, why should I take diploma in early childhood? Why should I take bachelor in early childhood? I have so many years of teaching. I know a lot. Yes, you know a lot.
In terms of pedagogy only, in terms of teaching.
Even then, are you equipped with the latest pedagogy?
Yes.
Are you equipped with a lot of content knowledge that you can say you are an expert in teaching preschool?
Lifelong learning.
Yes,
actually.
Teacher is lifelong learning. So it's important that you must have your diploma in early childhood. And if you have bigger ambitions, I don't want to be a preschool teacher for a long time. I want to be a
trainer, for example,
a trainer or a lecturer.
Teachers,
I started off as a preschool teacher.
All right.
And then I own my own school. And now I'm a lecturer. So you can go far if you take your diploma in early childhood, your bachelor in early childhood. Look at the teachers overseas. They are not just diploma holders.
Yes.
Some of them are master holders.
Even PhD also.
Yes. So we have to go into that direction. We have to think like that for us to make sure that our children are successful. For us to make sure that our country is successful.
Yes. So we are going towards the advanced country in the future, but if we are not ready with this kind of knowledge, lifelong learning, especially at UEM, when basically we are the pioneer in the lifelong learning institution. So I think those teachers in the preschool, they need to enhance their knowledge through getting, degree, masters, and also the Doctor of Philosophy in Early Child Education.
I'm very excited about diploma in early child education. Doctorate in philosophy in early childhood education. I'm right now the program director for masters in early childhood education, and we are now coming out with the documentation. We hope to start our taking our students in January. And to me, that is very exciting because not many universities, not many colleges actually offering doctor in philosophy in early childhood education. And I have gone through a lot of programs offered overseas, and I've chosen, I think, very interesting courses for this particular program, and which is the in thing right now in Malaysia, which is the in thing that everybody is talking about, to well-being, behavior, all that you can find in our program. And for your information also, recently one of my students actually sent me, she was looking for a job in Singapore, so they had to go through this licensing agency, and the agency actually confirmed that our masters in early childhood education is at par, has the masters in United Kingdom.
Wow, that's very good news to the audience. Everything that we are satisfied by other outsiders.
And it's not being verified by MQA or us. It's verified by an agency outside of Malaysia. And I think that is very good for our
So then when they have the qualification, they not only work in Malaysia, but they also can extend working in overseas,
in any Commonwealth country.
So all of us, we're very lucky to have Open University as a learning institution, so that we're able to enhance our knowledge in the preschool education. So for your information, to offers, actually we are in the same industry. I also involved in the preschool education. Actually, my first degree in business and commerce. But sometimes you divert your interest to the preschool education, especially when I have a baby that my first baby was born that time. So you learn, you are so curious how to take care of your first child and so on. So that actually brought me to have a preschool education, Dr. Mahani. So what actually brought you to this industry? I heard your first degree is something like science.
Yes, my first degree is in science, and actually I majored in genetics.
Genetics, I see.
I never wanted to go into teaching, but accidentally, because it was peak of recession, there was no job for me. So I opened my own preschool. I took a diploma in Montessori, then I opened my own preschool, and then I loved teaching. So I stayed on
until now. Become a preschool teacher, and then now you are a lecturer of this. So at OUM, basically, we hire industry people like us, to work as a full-time lecturer, and because we are equipped with knowledge, in the industry, that's good for the students to join OUM, in the education. And let's see whether we have any question from the audience. All right. So I think if there is no question from the audience. All right, we are towards the end of the session. Dr. Mahani, thank you very much, Dr. Mahani, for taking your time today. The session was really informative, and it brought different perceptions, not among children, but also among adults. I think through this session, we'll be able to learn a lot of things. Nurturing a love for science in young children is a vital investment in their intellectual development and the future of society. by providing them with opportunities to explore, question, and engage with the natural world. We lay the foundation for a lifelong journey of curiosity, discovery, and critical thinking. So once again, thank you very much, and thank you for the audience for the your presence, and also to Dr. Mahani. I hope we can have another session in the future talking about different perspective or different issues, especially in the early childhood education. So that's all. Thank you very much, and hope to see you again.
Kehidupan merangkumi pelbagai pilihan. Cara terbaik untuk melihat masa hadapan yang cemerlang adalah dengan mencipta aspirasi dan visi untuk menjadi lebih baik. Kita sahut setiap cabaran, jadikan ia sebagai peluang. Tukarkan halangan kepada kemungkinan. Kita mungkin tidak pasti dengan perjalanan kehidupan, tetapi kita sentiasa mencari hala tuju. Berlarilah lebih jauh. Anda pasti melihat masa depan yang lebih cerah. Di Open University Malaysia, kami mencipta peluang untuk semua sebagai institusi pengajian terbuka dan jarak jauh yang utama. Tanpa mengira di mana anda berada, berapa masa yang tersisa dan komitmen kehidupan anda. Kami menawarkan sistem pembelajaran yang fleksibel, mudah dicapai dan kos yang berpatutan. Kami menawarkan program-program yang telah direka khusus untuk memenuhi pasaran industri dan kehendak pemacu ekonomi global. Pada era digital yang pesat berkembang, OUM menghubungkan anda dengan teknologi pembelajaran yang inovatif kerana kami mendukung era teknologi terkini. Kelebihan kami terletak pada pusat pembelajaran di seluruh negara, menjadikan pembelajaran lebih mudah dicapai untuk semua golongan. Pembelajaran harus diraih tanpa mengira bagaimana dan di mana. Melalui pusat Apple, kami mengiktiraf pembelajaran melalui pengalaman terdahulu sebagai syarat kemasukan untuk menyambung pengajian dan penganugerahan kredit. Di OUM, portal pembelajaran digital yang inovatif membolehkan anda untuk mengikuti program, tutorial dan bengkel secara atas talian serta capaian bahan pembelajaran tanpa had di perpustakaan digital. Open University Malaysia mempersiapkan anda untuk masa hadapan, memimpin anda ke landasan menuju kecemerlangan melalui pelbagai sokongan dan jaringan kerjaya, memberi aspirasi untuk tidak hanya bertumpu kepada kecemerlangan akademik, malah juga kepada pembangunan holistik individu, menjalin ikatan persahabatan yang berkekalan dan bermakna. Open University Malaysia membawa anda selangkah maju menuju impian. Pemangkin kepada transformasi demi melahirkan pemimpin. Open University Malaysia, universiti untuk semua.